Can you all see my screen? Okay, okay. So, just like I said earlier, SQL is a very simple computer programming language, and the syntax is mostly written in English. There is no deep bridge there, no jargons and what have you. So it will be very easy for us to comprehend and understand if we are committed and dedicated to it. And lest I forget, please and please, please and please, this is not a one-day journey. Those of us that want to start learning this programming language now, let us try and put our mind to it, because it's not something you learn today and tomorrow uh, you put it aside. You have to keep practicing. I didn't get to this stage I am by just learning one day and getting over it. Constant practice over time makes you a professional with the use of SQL. So I believe at the end of this section, we should be able to know the fundamentals, the history of SQL, what tables and query mean in SQL, aggregate functions, how to count, how to get the sum of a column, the minimum value and the maximum value from a column, how to filter data from a column, and how to work with multiple tables, that is joins. So, what is SQL? I talked about SQL. It's a structured query language, which is a computer language for storing, manipulating, retrieving. You don't mind the English here. It's a very straightforward English, but when we get to work with what it really means, then we should understand it better. Then you should not be scared. You should not be scared that when you learn SQL syntax for a specific software platform like MySQL, that you might not be able to use it on PostgreSQL, or let's say PopSQL or SQLite or what have you. You can transfer the same knowledge of SQL you know in MySQL to other platforms that we have. So you shouldn't be scared. When you know SQL, you know it. If you know how to run SQL computer language on MySQL, then you can do same thing. You can import that same knowledge, take it to PostgreSQL, it will still run. Just the only difference is the interface of the softwares. MySQL interface is different from PostgreSQL interface and PopSQL and what have you, but the syntax itself is the same. Then the random tip that SQL keywords are not case sensitive. When you type select in all lowercase, it's the same thing as you typing select in all uppercase. But it's advisable to make your code much more readable and organized by typing the functions, call it functions, like select, from, and what have you. Type those ones in uppercase, all uppercase, then the remaining line of code with lowercase. So if someone wants to go through your code, they'll pick debug something, they won't uh, they won't get lost while assisting you, and it's professionally advisable that way. Then some database system require a semicolon at the end of each SQL statement. So we use a semicolon at the end of each SQL statement, but it's always advisable you use a semicolon. Some doesn't require you use a semicolon, while some requires, but it's always better to be on the safer side for you to use a semicolon. Then I talked about most RDBMS use the same. RDBMS means relational database management system. And there is also a specific pattern of arrangement for the line of code. If you don't arrange your line of code in a specific pattern in MySQL, in SQL, sorry, if you don't arrange it in that line, in that pattern, it will definitely yell at you, just like Moshama Deni used to say on YouTube. So you have to make sure that you understand the pattern, the arrangement it takes for you to run your code. Every line of code you want to do has a pattern. But if you are given an already created database and you want to retrieve data from it, you know it starts from select. I'll still get to that. Please, I have to go. Okay, yes, it is recorded. Yes, the thing is recorded. Yes, it is. You can get back to it. Sorry. So there's always a pattern for it. If you model it up, your program won't run. It won't. So Coming, sorry. Can we all see my screen? And these are the SQL data types that we have. We have character, or call it that size. This is the description. Then we have variable character. We have integer. We have dates. Okay. Please, for those of us that have installed MySQL on our laptop, can we please run it so we can work on one or two things together before I move ahead? I would want us to create a table together. Mr. Daniel Jefu, I'll get back to the installation after this exercise, please. So sorry, please. Please, those of us that have MySQL on our system, can we run it? Yes, we are running the workbench. Yes. So you should not mind what is on my system. It will be very different from yours because I've been working on my own MySQL for quite a number of months now. So these are past exercises that I've done there. So let me quickly brief you on what relational database means. Relational database means a database that is interconnected with each other. Let's assume, let me give you a popular scenario now. Let's assume we go to coming. Let's assume we go to the supermarket now. Let's say Shoprite. You know, all products in Shoprite is properly documented in a database. When you buy a product, the product has its own database. It has its own product ID. It has product name. It has when it was gotten and what have you. Then we have this another table, another database for customers that come into Shoprite to buy their products. Let's assume I was the one that went to Shoprite to buy their product, and they got my details. Okay, my first name is Tunde. My last name is Joel. My date of birth is this. My phone number and what have you. Now they have a set up a different table for the customers. They have a different table for the products that they have in stock. When they want to link both tables together, that means they are trying to get the relationship between the customer table and the products table. Are we getting this, please? Are we getting it, please? Okay, yes. Thank you very much. So when they want to link the customer's table to the products table, they are trying to find the relationship between those customers and the products in the store. Let's assume they want to get the customer that bought the highest number of products from their store in the past 1 year. And that means they have to the name of the customer is not on the products table, and the product is not on the customer's table. So they have to join both tables together for them to get that detail. So let's assume I want to try and work on something on my SQL now. For those of us, okay, I have something created here already. Let me try and delete this. Can we all see my SQL? Can we all see it? Okay, yes, you can see my SQL. I would want us to follow through. I would want all of us to follow through because it will get much more interactive and much more interesting like this when we do things together. So the first thing we have to do, let's assume, um, let's assume the the vice chancellor of my school. I attended FUTA. This assume the vice chancellor of my school came to me now and told me he wants me to get a database for the students and the lecturers in the university. I said, okay, no wahala, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I will assist you with that. So he wants me to create a database for them separately. But when you want to create a database, you have to keep those tables into a specific folder that is called schema in SQL. So when you want to create that folder where you keep, you can if you check to my left now, you can see the different schemas that I have here. Yours might not be up to this. You should have about three or so. You should have SYS, wine, and world. So those are the different schemas that we have that came with the software. So now we want to create our own schema where we will keep the database we want to create now. So it's simple English. We give in, we garbage in, and SQL garbage out to us. Simple English. Whatever it is I'm doing, please and please jot it down because you still have to practice over and over again for you to get these stuff right. When you don't practice, you don't become a professional in whatever it is you are doing. So you have to practice. So let's create the schema first. So I said we use um, uppercase for our functions. So we are telling SQL that we want to create a schema. So create schema. Then what do we want to name our schema? Let's assume I want to name it footer database. You can use the name of your own school or whatever it is you want to use. You, you put it in an inverted comma because it's a string. It's a string. When we talk about strings in programming language, we talk about text. It's a string. So put an inverted comma. So that's why I'm using footer database. FUTA, and you can't put space. You can't put space. You can't put space in your line of code. Instead of using space, use underscore for it to make it much more readable instead of writing it together. So footer database. And we end it with our semicolon. Now, when I click all this and I run it, sorry, please, are we all seeing my screen? He's asking, how do we get to how your screen is from? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Seems some of you are lost. I've been doing it all alone since. Let me try and when you open when you open your SQL, when you open your SQL, you get the local instance. Click that local instance. It might ask you to put your password. That was the password you inputted when you created when you were installing the software. Then after doing that, please, do we get that? Blessing James said you are still at the home page of your app. Okay, so you get me now. Yeah, thank you very much. So I believe that everybody is here. Instead of going through this, when you want to get a page like this, if everybody has a page like this, and even if you don't, just click this first icon here. That's create a new SQL tab for executing queries. So when you create that, you get a fresh page like I have on my screen here. So even aside that, if you don't want to use your code to create your schema, you can just come here, count the fourth icon at the top. When you hover around it, you get the description. Create a new schema in the connected server. So when you click it, what's the name of the schema you want to create? I said mine is footer database because I attended footer. You can use a different name for yours. Footer underscore database. Then you click apply. It's telling me that I can't use uppercase all through. I have to get some lowercase and what have you, but that's not an issue. It's okay. Then apply, finish. Now you can close the tab. You should see the name of the schema you just created on this schema tabs here, but you won't find that yet until you refresh this little button here. Then now it's there. This is footer database. Is everybody on the same level as I am now? Okay, okay. So I just showed you how to create. Oh, Dara Leki was wrong. When you want to refresh, it's this uh little icon here. This is refresh. It's what you use to refresh. Can you see it? Dara Leki after. Okay. How do we create a schema? Okay. This is it. You come here, you click the fourth icon. The first one, this is one, two, three, four. The fourth one, create a new schema in the connected server. When you click it, it asks you for the name. You clear the one that is there. You put in a name you want to use. I said because I attended the Federal University of Technology Akure, I used the name of my school because I'm assuming the vice chancellor came to me and he wants me to get a database for the students and the lecturers in the university. So I use the name of my school, footer underscore database. You can't use space in any code in SQL. So you use underscore when you want to get space. So I use footer database. So let's assume I want to do that again. For now, I will name it footer table because you can't have same table twice. Footer table. Then you click apply. Now apply again. Then it's finished. You click finish. But it won't. Okay, now it's here because I refreshed already. Now it's here. So this is a newly created one, but I don't need this, so I can just drop the schema. I will teach you how to drop this later. Don't worry. Okay, someone is suggesting it's difficult maneuvering between the screen and the MySQL app. Maybe we should just watch and create the first table, then together with you, we all create one. Okay, no problem if you want that. If you want that. So let me try and create a table. Let me try and create a table. Since I've created the schema here, just follow through. You don't have to rush. Just look at the way I'm doing it. Now the schema is here, but I have to click it. I have to double click it for SQL to know that I want to create that table into this schema. But if I don't want to double click, I can just tell SQL that use what's the name of the database, footer underscore database. When I run it, so after running it, you can see that the footer database got holding. So now I'm telling SQL that whatever it is I want to do now, make sure it is stored in this specified schema that I created earlier. So now this is simple English. Let me try and comment it so you can understand. Now I want to create a table. This is another simple English again. Whenever you see this hash sign, hash is not part of the code. I'm trying to comment it out so you can understand what it is I'm doing in the code. If I try to run that hash, it won't run because it is just a comment. It's not part of the code I'm running. So now I want to create the, the table. Let's see, I want to create the lecturer table. We use simple English again. Create table, then let's say lecturer. What's the name of the table? The name of the table will be lecturer underscore table. Just want us to understand what it is I'm doing. Then we put it all in a parenthesis, that's brackets. So now, when everybody, when a teacher is employed into the university or employed into any firm, there's always a distinct number or identification number that is given to each and everybody. I know you might not be familiar with the lecturer zone, but when a student is admitted into a university, he is given a matric number for easy identification. So we know no two students can have the same matric number. When a student comes, only one student can have one matric number. Two people cannot be sharing the same matric number. So that matric number is just like the ID, and that is the primary key. The primary key is a key that is distinct to a specific item in your database. So let's assume what we call matric number for students is teacher ID or lecturer ID in the university. To want to create the columns first. Lecturer ID integer because you can't have it depends on what is in your lecturer ID. If it consists of just numbers, that means it's integer. Just like the way we know in our normal mathematical knowledge that integers are digits, figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what have you. Then you put your comma. What other column do we want to be there? We want the lecturers. I'm sorry, my lecturer wasn't spelled right. lecturer. Then I want the teacher's first name to be there. First underscore name. That would be a character. Character is consists of numbers, strings, otherwise known as words. You can use a character or a variable character. Right? I don't want to exceed. The name shouldn't exceed 40 characters. No, no first name should exceed that. Then last name. Now these are the data types that you are trying to put there. These are the columns. The lecturer ID is the ID that is ascribed to a different lecturer, to individual lecturers. So each lecturer have their own distinct ID number. Then it is integer. For the first name, data type is variable character. Last name, data type is variable character. You also want to put date of birth of lecturers. Date of birth, so the data type will be date. Then you want to put the course that each lecturer is taking. Because characters shouldn't exceed, let's say, 20. Then we also want to put, let's say, phone number. Phone number of the lecturers. At least in Nigeria for now, no phone number should exceed 20 characters. You should be wondering that why is the phone number in variable character and not integers? Because phone numbers is zeros to 9. But at times, the information the vice chancellor might be bringing might not consist of zeros. It might just be plus 234. So to be on the safe side, it's better for you to use variable characters in your phone number instead of just using integers. But when you use integers, that means only integers can be inputted in that column. You have the phone number, then salary. I'm assuming they pay my lecturers in dollars. So if they are paying them in dollars, then we'll be having floats. Float means decimals. When we have integers are whole numbers. But when you see float means decimals. So I'm assuming probably they are paying him $75.20 and what have you. But I'm assuming it's in dollars. I just want us to have an example and an experience with what decimals you float. That's how we define decimals. Then we close the parentheses, the brackets, and we stop with our semicolon. You can put it anywhere you like. Okay, I think Mr. Dileke is trying to help. Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Why is it necessary? Okay, thank you very much. So I can concentrate on the training itself. So now, after doing this, I can pick everything, then go to this Thunderbolt icon here. That is what we used to run. So if you hover around it and you read the caption beneath it, you see that it says execute the selected portion of the script for everything if there is no selection. So now I want to execute this. I want to create a lecturer table. So when I click it, you can see it ran already. So I've created the lecturer table. So let's assume I want to create the student table too. I can just copy this if I will be using the same arrangement too. Then paste, then I edit. So now this will be student table instead of lecturer table. Student table. Instead of using lecturer ID, I use student ID. Student ID, then I want to introduce the student's first name, last name, date of birth, the don't let me okay, let's not put course, let's put class level, then phone number, then instead of putting salary because they don't pay student salary, they pay school fees. Let's assume school fees. Now let's create this table. So we just highlight it and we run again with this Thunderbolt. I'll give us time to experiment it ourselves. I just want us to see the rudiment and the modus operandi of how we create tables. Now, when I click it, the table is created already. So if you come to, if I refresh this schema, and I come here, click the footer database, click this drop down icon here, I can see my table here already. I can see lecturer table and student table. Uh, I want to know if we got, like if we understood that simple thing I just did now. I'll give us time for us to work on this. Okay. This Polari said yes we did. Habib Adam, yes, I get it clear. Okay. Are others following us too? Okay, yes, okay, yes, Mr. Deleke, thank you. Thank you for the prompt response. Yes, to run your code, I liked all lines of code. Some of us came late. Masanwola Timileyin, please, where do you want us to come in? Okay. Mr. Francis said you did everything I did and got it right. Okay. Okay. Am I the only one not seeing the screen? No, no, I'm not the only one. I'm no longer sharing. I'm no longer sharing. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So, for my simple understanding, can we relate what you just did to creating field elder names in an Excel table? Yes. Yes. Please, the last two symbols at the down part of the script, what is it for? The last two symbols, is that the closing bracket and the semicolon? If that is it, it's part of the code because we open the bracket initially, then we have to close it when we are done. Then the semicolon is for us to tell the for, it's for us to tell SQL that we are done with the table. I'm not done with the student table, please. If you still want to see the screen, you can come. This is my screen. This is my screen here. So you can still follow through. So now we fitted the table, but when we want to view the table now, you will see that there is nothing in the table. Please, for those of us that are just joining, please, I told us to get our notes for jotting, so we won't forget these stuff. Because when you don't write stuff down and you don't practice it, you tend to forget it easily. So it's better for us to get our notes. So when we keep practicing, we get accustomed to the codes and the syntax that we use. So now we created table for the lecturer table, created table for the student table. So let us try and input data into the lecturer's table. I'm trying to comment it out. To you want to insert data into the respective tables. Now the code for inserting is very simple too. Just insert into, then you define the table you want it to insert into. So insert into, what table are we trying to insert into? The lecturer table. When you misspell the name of a table, SQL is not a wizard. It can't get it for you. So you have to make sure you are spelling it right. Now I went to get the name of the table. So I want to insert the details that will be in the lecturer table. The details the vice chancellor gave me and he wants me to put into the lecturer's table. So now I've told SQL I want to insert. Then after doing that, you specify that you I want to insert. And you open your bracket, you close it, then you come into the bracket to define it. So now the first thing we said was teacher ID, that is integer. So let's assume the vice chancellor said the teacher ID for the first the lecturer ID, sorry, the lecturer ID for the first lecturer that is bringing in the databases lecturer ID 01. To specify that, you put comma. The first name, since the first name is a string, whatever it is that is a string, you have to put it in inverted comma. So the first name is a string. So let's assume the first lecturer bears his first name is James. Then let's assume the last name is. You have to follow through your arrangement while you are creating the thing, because if you don't follow through and you model it up, SQL is not a wizard, it's going to model it up for you. So you have to make sure that the same way you define your table is the same way you are going to insert details into it. The first column while we are creating the table is lecturer ID. So that is O1. The second column is first name, that's James. Now we are on the last name. So let's assume the last name is, let's say, Folarin. Then we have the date of birth. So okay, lest I forget, I have to give you the format for inserting dates into SQL. The format is YYY dash, then you put the month dash DD. This is a very simple format. Date format. When you don't input, oh sorry, it's not underscore dash. So when you don't input your date in this format, it will give you 00000. So that's an incorrect format. So when you want to input the date of birth for the lecturer now, so put it in an inverted comma. Let's assume he was born, let's say 1990 dash March, that's would be, then let's say 11th day of March. So this is the date. Make sure you are doing it the same way I'm doing it. If you don't put your inverted comma, it won't run. You put your comma. Then let's assume the course the lecturer is taking is let's say GNS 101. GNS 101. Now, what else? Phone number of the lecturer. Because we want to put plus before the phone number, you have to put it in an inverted comma. That makes it a string. But if we are not putting the plus, if it were just 080552844 and what have you, then we don't need to put it in an inverted comma. It understands an integer. But since we want to put the plus before it, so we just put an inverted comma, then let me put my own number. You can put your own number if you like, 2 + 3 + 4 + 7 0 6 7 0 4 4 4 3 4. Then the salary. My school, they pay well. So that's when they are paying him $500 and 45 cents. You use dot, that's decimal. You use dot while creating it. But my principal said, not my principal now, sorry. The vice chancellor said he's not having just one lecturer in the university. He has about 2 to 3. So now we want to create for the three of them together. So instead of doing this and imputing and inserting and what have you again, you can just put comma here and continue, and put your bracket again and continue. So now the second lecturer won't have the same lecturer ID as the previous one. So you can change it to, let's say, O2. I'll try to be fast with this because I explained earlier in the previous one. So let's say the name is Adams. The first name is Adams. The last name is Udus. He was born. He was born on, let's say, 1994 March, 6th day of March. Now he lectures MTS 101. Now for his phone number. His phone number is slightly different from mine. So I don't want to rack my brain for phone numbers. 0706704044534. Okay. Now that's his phone number. Then for his salary, because he is lecturing MTS and might probably be in a different level or grade compared to the lecturer lecturing JNS 101. So that mean his own salary is $600 and 70 cents. So I don't want to bore us with the inserting of data of the values. So let's just use just these two for now to end it with our semicolon. Now we can run this. You can run this. Now I ran this already. You might not see the details now, but I will show you where the details are. I will show you. Now I've inserted these details into the lecturer table. So let's assume the principal came again and said, okay, you've inserted the details into the lecturer, the vice chancellor, sorry, please pardon me. The chancellor came and said, you've inserted details into the lecturer table. But when I checked the student table, it's still empty. And it came with the students' details. Now, use insert to again. Insert into. What's the name of the student table? That's student underscore table and values. Then we specify the values. Now, for someone like me, My matric number while I was still in university was P14792. No, since we said it's integer, so we can't put the other string aspect of it. So I'll just use the last four. Let's say 7928. That's the ID. The first name is my first name is I'm using my own details here. You can use yours, you can change it to yours. Not compulsory you follow mine. I'm just trying to replicate the same steps I did in this lecturer thing. So it's not don't mind me if I'm too fast, please. The
Okay, sir.
last name,
How are you doing?
Fine, sir.
How's your health?
my last name is
Better.
let's say Joel.
Sorry,
Thanks, boss.
you look bad. You ask
Then what else? Date of birth, inverted comma with the year followed by the month followed by the day. So let's assume I was born 2005 space October space OT 3rd of October 2005. So that's my real age. Then the class level. Oh, sorry. Let's assume I'm in 100 level. Class level. Then the phone number. 2 3 4 5 6 6 4 5 3 9 4 6. That's my phone number. And my school fee, because I'm in 100 level, Fuka school fee is always a little bit exorbitant when you are when I just started. Just as I'm paying $70 and 60 cents. I should be using naira, but we don't have decimal places when you are dealing with naira in Nigeria. So let me use dollar so we can know how to input details for decimal places. Then comma. Then now I want to input another detail for a different student. So let's assume this student ID is
I don't know.
seven
No,
nine
I'm
six
not, my
two
pen is not working, so I'm not signing it.
comma
I signed before now.
inverted comma. What's the student's first name?
Okay, so that
You have to make sure you follow through the same way you define the table. If you
yeah,
don't follow it,
Yeah.
SQL we just it will assume that's the way you want it to be. Then if you model it up, then you'll be having an error while you are creating your data. So let's assume the first name of this second student is Shayo, then followed by the last name. Last name is let's say James. Then he was born a little bit older than I am. Let's assume he was born
so me
2008
to write.
July. Oh, sorry, July. Then first day of July. Because he's older than I am, he was admitted earlier too. That's going to be 300 level. Then phone number is first plus okay plus 234 69271742. That is Shayo's phone number. Then his school fees will be a little bit or slightly lower than cheaper than Tunde's school fees. That will be he pays $50 and 40 cents. Now in it with our semicolon. Now let me try and insert this into the so now it has been inserted. So now everything we'll be doing since morning, it might not make sense to you because you've not seen where those details or the values you've been inputting went to. So now, for us to retrieve or to see what was stored in our data, so that's what we call retrieving or querying your data sets. Now we use select. Let me try and comment it out so we can see retrieve or query your data set. We use select. Now I want to see everything that is in my data set. So I use asterisk or you call it star or whatever. I call it asterisk. So you select asterisk from where, which table, because we have two tables. You have to tell SQL that I want to retrieve all the columns or all the database or all the details that I inputted earlier from a specific table. From which table? So now SQL is not a wizard, just like I said earlier. So we have to be explicit whenever we are giving instructions to SQL. So we tell SQL that from which of the tables, let's say lecturer table, to your semicolon. Now let's copy this because I want to do it twice. Now I want to retrieve from the student table too. So when you get this, you can just pick the two together. Since we've put our semicolon here, SQL is wise enough to know that wherever the semicolon is a different line of code. Then from beneath that semicolon is another different line of code. So it knows these are two different things I want to do. So when I click this longer boot here, that's to run it. Now you should have something like this. So this is student table. This is the student ID 7928 for myself, my first name, the last name, my date of birth, my class level, my phone number, the school fees I pay. That is $70.60. Then for the other student, that's Mr. Shayo James 7962 with his date of birth, with his class level, his phone number. I don't think I wrote the complete phone number when I was typing it. Oh, 81, I missed 81. This is the school fees. So for the lecturer table, to be beside it. So this is its lecturer ID. Lecturer ID 1, this is the name, Mr. James Folarin, his date of birth, the course is taken, the phone number, the salary. To let me know if we all got it. Mr. Abib Adams. Mr. Abib Adams is asking what happens when we have thousands of data to input. Don't worry, that is for an advanced section. But for now, let's try and do it a step after the other. Let's try to know how to get our data inputted or created first. Then we'll discuss how to do it for multiple stuffs or thousands of data. Please, did we all get it? Did we all get it to the level I did it? Please let me know so I can know if we are all following. Same just Abib. Okay, sure, I got it. Who else got it, please? I got just 3 people. I got it. Mr. Francis got it too. Who else got it, please? Okay, Mr. Dara got it too. Okay, do you need time to do yours too, or you did it the same way I did mine? Should I just give you guys 5 minutes to read the same way I did mine? Or okay. Don't worry. Don't I You kept mentioning dollars for the salaries and fees. How do you define a show that data? Don't worry, Mr. Abi. Those are complex aspects of it. I just try to use that because I want you to get how to use decimal while you are creating a database for your firm or whatever it is you want to do. Do you mind recapitulating the beginning part of creating a database? Please? Yes, I can. Please, can you be more explicit? Okay, Mr. Temidayo Fadi, please can you share your screen so we can do it together? Mr. Temidayo Fadi. Okay, Mr. Francis is way ahead of us. Is now using the where. Okay, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. But I want us to follow. I want us to follow through. I want us to follow through. Mr. YDX, please, can you share your screen so we can go through it together? I want to put you through the creating of the database. Okay, okay. I can't.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Actually, can you see my screen? Like, actually, I'm
Yes.
using the server SQL, which is
Yes.
different from the one you using.
No problem.
So, creating a database from the beginning part, I get the other part. Do you get my point now?
Yes, I get your point. Please, can you enlarge your screen so I can see what they like? The icons are too small. Okay. I think I can see it better now. Okay. Have you created the schema already?
Not yet. That's what I'm. That's my question because I'm not sure if I can do the schema part on this. I don't know. So that was what got me confused from the beginning.
Okay, I'll get back to that. I'll get back to that. This is a different software.
Database. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
from yeah. So they are slightly different. Slightly
From the
different.
beginning.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'll get back to that and give you the line of code for creating a schema there. I'll get
Okay.
back to that now. I'll get
All
back to
right.
that.
Thank you.
I'll get back to that. So for those that want to follow through with my how do I put it with the codes we ran the other time, I'll be sharing my screen once again. So I will be giving us 5 minutes for that, please. And in case anyone wants to call my attention to anything, if it's quite important or urgent, and you want me to scroll down for you to see the other aspects of the course, please you can unmute yourself and ask for that, please.